Welcome to The Explainer. When we think about the wild, we're constantly bombarded with this whole idea of the king of the jungle or the king of the ocean, right? But if you actually look at the science and what it takes to survive day to day in our most extreme environments, that narrative is completely upside down. Today, we're exploring the undeniable truth that it's actually the female leaders, the matriarchs, the apex predators, the mothers, who hold the real power. Okay, let's dive into this and absolutely shatter that age-old myth of male dominance right up front. When you actually compare the physical and behavioral realities, it's pretty wild. While males in the animal kingdom get all the hype, they're loud, they're presumed to be the dominant force, their actual reality is usually highly solitary or even exiled. On the flip side, the queens, they are frequently larger, they're faster, they are the primary providers of food, and most importantly, they are the generational leaders. They're literally the glue keeping their entire species alive. So, let's start with part one, the elephant sisterhood. These are Mother Nature's fiercest leaders out in the African savanna. To really understand this, we have to meet Taji, a 45-year-old matriarch. And let me tell you, she wasn't just handed that leadership role, she earned it through literally decades of experience, judgment, and undeniable charisma. From the moment she was born, she was learning ancient migratory routes. She's spent decades surviving brutal droughts and fighting off vicious hyena clans, and all of that acquired wisdom is culminating right now. Her current, absolute most critical mission is guiding and protecting her brand new, highly vulnerable granddaughter Binti. The emotional and physical survival of this entire herd rests squarely on Taji's shoulders. It is just fascinating how these females operate together. Touch is absolutely their love language. You'll see them using it constantly to comfort a newborn, like little Binti. But when danger approaches, say a clan of hyenas looking for an easy meal, these females instantly form an impenetrable protective wall of muscle and tusks. And when it's time to move, Taji doesn't just act like a dictator. She actually uses these low-frequency rumbles, which can travel up to 6 miles, by the way, to consult and negotiate with elder females in other herds. They literally make democratic decisions to keep their families alive. And this brilliant cooperation perfectly illustrates what they're up against when the rains stop and the dry season kicks in. It is a grueling physical toll. First off, they actually use their deeply wrinkled skin to retain up to 10 times more water, basically turning mud into a natural sunscreen. Second, a single adult elephant needs up to 50 gallons of water every single day. Just think about first-time mothers like Keke. She needs a constant intake of water just to produce enough milk to keep baby Binti alive. And step 3 is where the queen is the absolute ultimate game changer. The herd relies entirely on Taji's mental map of ancient pathways to sniff out hidden water. But here is the heartbreaking reality. Taji's ancient mental map is failing. They're battling entirely unprecedented natural threats, like 40-year extreme droughts, but those are coupled with massive immediate human threats. The human population in Africa has tripled in Taji's lifetime, placing buzzing, paved highways right directly through their ancient pathways. In one incredibly powerful moment, Taji actually freezes at a busy highway. She's totally paralyzed by a world she simply doesn't recognize. And amazingly, it's young Binti who boldly steps forward, leading her grandmother and the rest of the family across to safety. That kind of bold adaptation is crucial right now, mostly because of this absolutely devastating statistic. Savanna elephant numbers have fallen by 60% in just the last 50 years. They are quite literally running out of space to exist. What you really need to take away from this is that compassionate, adaptable female leaders are their absolute best and maybe only hope for navigating this rapidly changing world. All right, let's switch gears and head underwater for part 2, Rulers of the Ocean. We're getting into the science of shark queens. Now, what's really fascinating here is the sheer size difference. A male great white might max out around 13 feet, which is big, sure. But the females? They can surpass 21 feet and weigh in at an astonishing 2 tons. Why? Well, they have to be absolutely massive to carry and sustain up to 17 live young in utero. Just by basic physical design alone, they are the undeniable dominant rulers of the ocean. But it isn't just about size, it's about personality. Dr. Thomas Vignod's pioneering research in Fuvamala evaluates shark behavior, and he found that when a dominant female arrives on the scene, the males literally just scatter. These females possess skin up to twice as thick as males, mostly to survive brutal mating bites, and they consistently score the highest for behavioral boldness and a really unique intelligence. They own the feeding hierarchy, 0 questions asked.
And this deeper understanding of their personalities leads to a really groundbreaking theory by marine biologist Eric Klua. By collecting DNA from shark saliva left behind on bite ropes, he's tracking what he calls the problem individual. This completely flips the script on how we think about shark attacks. It moves us away from that outdated Hollywood panic that all sharks are just out there making mistakes, to the scientific reality that extremely rare, highly dysfunctional individuals with very specific, overly bold personalities are the ones repeatedly engaging in human conflict.
The math really speaks for itself. 99.9% of sharks are completely safe and will never, ever represent a danger to humans. It is only that tiny 0.01% that are problem individuals. This explains perfectly why blindly culling or hunting sharks after an attack is just totally ineffective. The future of protecting both us and the sharks lies entirely in tracking genetics and these unique individual personalities.
Oh, and if you're suddenly terrified of a 20-foot pregnant shark swimming around looking for a massive meal to feed all those babies, you have to consider the pregnancy paradox. Experts are actually completely unaware of any attacks ever occurring by a pregnant shark. The leading theory here is that late-term hormones actively inhibit their feeding drive so they don't accidentally prey on their own pups when they give birth. They are incredibly calculated survivors. They are absolutely not mindless eating machines.
Let's head back onto dry land for part 3, Hunters of the Savannah. We're looking at the brutal reality of big cats.
So you've got these 3 totally different queens employing wildly different yet perfectly adapted maternal survival strategies. Lionesses use communal crushes. They literally share the feeding and defending of the pride's cubs like a giant daycare. Cheetahs, on the other hand, are solitary. They rely on hidden lairs and their blinding speed to actively bait and distract heavier predators away from their babies. Meanwhile, leopards depend entirely on stealth. They use their padded paws and incredible camouflage to basically vanish into the dense brush, hiding both their fresh kills and their cubs.
But why go to all these extreme, stressful tactics? Well, because of this staggering number. 25%. A full quarter of all lion cubs are killed not by starvation, but by roaming exiled male lions. These rogue males infiltrate territories and kill cubs simply to force the females back into heat. It's a constant, utterly deadly threat, and the mothers are literally the only line of defense standing between their babies and total destruction.
And defending the pride takes an immense amount of energy. A single lioness needs about 12 pounds of meat a day. Because the male lions are way too conspicuous with their giant, flashy manes, they're terrible at sneaking up on anything, so the females do all the heavy lifting. They orchestrate these wildly complex, cooperative hunts using pure stealth, explosive 300-foot sprints, and finally, suffocating chokeholds. Working together, these queens can exhaust and take down prey as terrifyingly dangerous as a 1,500-pound buffalo.
So, what does this all mean? Bringing it all together, we've seen the democratic, generational wisdom of the elephant matriarchs. We've seen the genetic boldness and the sheer, massive dominance of the ocean's shark queens. And we've witnessed the fierce, incredibly calculated ferocity of the savannah's big cats. The ultimate question we really have to ask ourselves now is, can these incredible maternal strategies withstand the sheer force of human expansion and a rapidly shifting climate? I want to leave you with this powerful reflection from Dr. Thomas Vignote. Evolution has spent millions of years fine-tuning these females to be the strongest, most resilient, and absolutely most dominant forces in their respective environments. They are the true architects of survival in the wild. But as extreme weather and human expansion keep rewriting the rules of nature, will their ancient wisdom be enough to save us all? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, keep questioning the narratives, and remember, long live the queen.